The Vietnamese alphabet is the modern writing system for the Vietnamese language. It uses the Latin script, based on its employment in the alphabets of Romance languages, in particular the Portuguese alphabet, with some digraphs and the addition of 9 accent marks or diacritics, 4 of them to create additional sounds, and the other 5 to indicate the tone of each word. The many diacritics, often 2 on the same letter, make written Vietnamese easily recognizable. Letter names and pronunciation. Note: naming BBO and PBPH is to avoid confusion in some dialects or some contexts, the same for SX-man and XXNHE, I-nan, and Y-I-die. Q is always followed by U in every word and phrase in Vietnamese, e.g. Quang, Qun, Quen Ru, etc. Consonants. The alphabet is largely derived from the Portuguese, although the usage of GH and G was borrowed from Italian, and that for C, K, Qu from Greek and Latin. Vowels. Pronunciation. The correspondence between the orthography and pronunciation is somewhat complicated. In some cases, the same letter may represent several different sounds, and different letters may represent the same sound. This may be because the orthography was designed centuries ago and the spoken language has changed, or because the inventors were trying to spell the sounds of several dialects at once. The letters Y and I are mostly equivalent, and there is no concrete rule that says when to use one or the other, except in sequences like I and UY is read TJ, while TI is read TJ. There have been attempts since the late 20th century to standardize the orthography by replacing all the vowel uses of Y with I, the latest being a decision from the Vietnamese Ministry of Education in 1984. These efforts seem to have had limited effect, in part because some people bristled at the thought of names such as Nguyen becoming Nguyen and Tui becoming Thui, even though the standardization does not apply to diphthongs and triphthongs and allowed exceptions to proper names. In textbooks published by Nha Zuti Ban Gio Duc, Y is used to represent I only in Sino-Vietnamese words that are written with one letter Y alone. In words that start with the letter Y and after U, therefore such forms as *li and *Kentucky are not standard, though they are much preferred elsewhere. Most people and the popular media continue to use the spelling that they are most accustomed to. The uses of the letters I and Y to represent the phoneme I can be categorized as standard and non-standard as follows. This standard, set by Nha Zuti Ban Gio Duc, is not definite. It is unknown why the literature books use li while the history books use li. Spelling vowel nuclei. The table below matches the vowels of Hanoi Vietnamese and the respective orthographic symbols used in the writing system. Notes: the vowel I, bullsh, usually written I, C equals C, sometimes written Y after H, K, L, M, S, T, V, me, equals my, America. It is always written Y when preceded by an orthographic vowel X. Wien equals Quen, to advise. At the beginning of a word derived from Chinese, IEW equals U, to love. The vowel is written U before C or eng. K equals OOC, organ. King KN equals King Korm. This generally only occurs in recent loanwords or when representing dialectal pronunciation. Similarly, the vowel O is written U before C or eng. On equals ong. But unlike U being frequently used in onomatopoeia, transcriptions from other languages and words borrowed from Nghe and Hartin dialects, U seems to be used solely to convey the feel of the Nghe and Hartin accents. In transcriptions, O is preferred. Diphthongs and triphthongs. Notes: the glide with is written O in front of a or EO following an EU in all other cases. The diphthong IE is written Iowa in open syllables. Me equals mea, sugarcane. i.e. before a consonant mean equals mying, peace. The I changes to Y at the beginning of words or after an orthographic vowel. Ya xwye equals coolia, late at night. Ye xween equals quent, to advise. Ien equals yen, calm. The diphthong u is written ua in open syllables. Mue equals mua, to buy. Duo before a consonant muin equals muon, 10,000. The diphthong I is written ua in open syllables. Me equals mua, to rain. Duo before consonants. Mean equals mong, irrigation canal. Tone marks. Vietnamese is a tonal language, i.e., the meaning of each word depends on the tone in which it is pronounced. There are 6 distinct tones in the standard northern dialect. In the south there is a merging of the Hoi and R tones, in effect leaving 5 basic tones. The first one is not marked, and the other 5 are indicated by diacritics applied to the vowel part of the syllable. The tone names are chosen such that the name of each tone is spoken in the tone it identifies. Unmarked vowels are pronounced with a level voice in the middle of the speaking range. The grave accent indicates that the speaker should start somewhat low and drop slightly in tone, with the voice becoming increasingly breathy. The hook indicates that the speaker should start somewhat low and fall in Northern Vietnamese, but the speaker should start somewhat low and fall, then rise in Southern Vietnamese. A tilde indicates that the speaker should start mid-break off, then start again and rise like a question in tone. The acute accent indicates that the speaker should start mid and rise sharply in tone. The dot signifies that the speaker should start low and fall lower in tone, with the voice becoming increasingly creaky and ending in a glottal stop in Northern Vietnamese. But Southern speaker starts low and rise mid in tone. Dot. In syllables where the vowel part consists of more than one vowel, the placement of the tone is still a matter of debate. Generally, there are 2 methodologies, an old style and a new style. While the old style emphasizes aesthetics by placing the tone mark as close as possible to the center of the word, the new style emphasizes linguistic principles and tries to apply the tone mark on the main vowel. In both styles, when one vowel already has a quality diacritic on it, the tone mark must be applied to it as well, regardless of where it appears in the syllable. In the case of the uo diphthong, the mark is placed on the o. The u in qu is considered part of the consonant. Currently, the new style is usually used in textbooks published by Nha Zuti Ban Gio Duc, while most people still prefer the old style in casual uses. In lexical ordering, differences in letters are treated as primary, differences in tone markings as secondary, and differences in case as tertiary differences. Ordering according to primary and secondary differences proceeds syllable by syllable. According to this principle, a dictionary lists tuan thu before tu and che because the secondary difference in the first syllable takes precedence over the primary difference in the second. Structure. As a result of influence from the Chinese writing system, each syllable in Vietnamese is written separately as if it were a word. In the past, syllables in multisyllabic words were concatenated with hyphens, but this practice has died out, and hyphenation is now reserved for foreign borrowings. A written syllable consists of at most 3 parts, in the following order from left to right: an optional beginning consonant part, a required vowel syllable nucleus and the tone mark, if needed, applied above or below it. An ending consonant part can only be one of the following: c, ch, m, n, ang, nh, p, t, or nothing. History. The Vietnamese language was first written down from the 13th century onwards, using variant Chinese characters, each of them representing one word. The system was based on the script used for writing classical Chinese, but it was supplemented with characters developed in Vietnam to represent native Vietnamese words. As early as 1527, Portuguese Catholic missionaries in Vietnam began using Latin script to transcribe the Vietnamese language for teaching and evangelization purposes. These efforts led eventually to the development of the present Vietnamese alphabet, started by the Jesuit Portuguese priest Francisco de Pina. His work was continued by the French Jesuit Alexandre de Rhodes, who worked in the country between 1624 and 1644. Building on previous Portuguese-Vietnamese dictionaries by Gaspar de Amaral and fellow Jesuit Duarte da Costa, Rhodes read the Dictionarium Analyticum Lusitanum Latinum, a Vietnamese-Portuguese Latin dictionary, which was printed in Rome in 1651, using his spelling system. In spite of this development, ch-nom and ch-nh remained dominant until the early 20th century. The Tonkin Free School, set up by nationalists in 1907, taught alphabetic script. Primary schools in Tonkin began teaching the script in 1910, and Emperor Khai Thin declared the traditional writing system abolished in 1918. By the 1930s, alphabetic script was Vietnam's dominant writing system. Despite conflicts over the meaning of Vietnamese nationalism during the Vietnam War, as both sides sought to define themselves as the true national government, neither side attempted to promote a new and separate writing system or revert to Chinese characters, because the period of education necessary to gain initial literacy is considerably less for the largely phonetic Latin-based script compared to the several years necessary to master the full range of Chinese characters. The adoption of the Vietnamese alphabet also facilitated widespread literacy among Vietnamese speakers, whereas a majority of Vietnamese in Vietnam could not read or write prior to the 20th century. The population is now almost universally literate. Historian Pamela A. Pears asserted that the French, by instituting the Roman alphabet in Vietnam, cut the Vietnamese off from the traditional literature, rendering them unable to read it. The current Vietnamese government has recognized this as a problem, and supported the publication of inexpensive transliterated editions of some older and more obscure Vietnamese literature. Prior to the advent of 21st-century computer-assisted typesetting methods, the act of typesetting and printing Vietnamese had been described as a nightmare due to the number of accents and diacritics. Sino-Vietnamese and Quoc. Writing Sino-Vietnamese words with Quoc caused some confusion about the origins of some terms, due to the large number of homophones in Chinese and Sino-Vietnamese. For example, both and a read as min, which therefore has two opposite meanings. Perhaps for this reason, the Vietnamese name for Pluto is not Min Vong Tin as in other East Asian languages, but is Diem Vong Tin, named after the Buddhist deity Yama. During the Ho dynasty, Vietnam was officially known as Tien Ngu. Most modern Vietnamese know Ngu as stupid. Consequently, some misinterpret it as big idiot. In this case, Ngu means peace and joy. However, the homograph homophone problem is not as serious as it may seem, because, although many Sino-Vietnamese words have multiple meanings when written with Quoc, usually only one has widespread usage, while the others are relegated to obscurity. Furthermore, Sino-Vietnamese words are usually not used alone, but in compound words. Thus, the meaning of the compound word is preserved even if individually each has multiple meanings. Most importantly, since Quoc is an exact phonemic transcription of the spoken language, its understandability is as higher than a normal conversation. computer support. The Universal Character Set Unicode has full support for the Vietnamese writing system, although it does not have a separate segment for it. The required characters that other languages use are scattered throughout the basic Latin, Latin 1 supplement, Latin extended A, and Latin extended B blocks. Those that remain are placed in the Latin extended additional block. An ASCII-based writing convention, Vietnamese quoted readable, and several byte-based encodings including TCVN3, VNI, and VISCII were widely used before Unicode became popular. Most new documents now exclusively use the Unicode format UTF-8. Unicode allows the user to choose between pre-composed characters and combining characters in inputting Vietnamese, because, in the past, some fonts implemented combining characters in a non-standard way. Most people use pre-composed characters when composing Vietnamese language documents. Most keyboards used by Vietnamese language users do not support direct input of diacritics by default. Various free software such as Unicode that act as keyboard drivers exist. They support the most popular input methods, including telex, VNI, VIQR and its variants. Bibliography. Gregerson, Kenneth J. A Study of Middle Vietnamese Phonology. Bulletin de l'Associaté des études indo-chinoises, 44, 135–193. Ordre André Georges, Origine des particularités de l'alphabet vietnamien. Dan Vietnam, 3–61–68. Healy, Dana. Teach Yourself Vietnamese, Harder Education, London. Nguyen Thanh Liem, Vietnamese Pronunciation, Pali Language Texts, Southeast Asia, Honolulu, University of Hawaii Press. ISBN 087022-462-X. Nguyen Thanh Hoa. Q Sieng, The Modern Writing System in Vietnam. Washington, D.C. Author, Nguyen Thanh Hoa. Vietnamese Phonology and Graphemic Borrowings from Chinese, The Book of 3,000 Characters Revisited. Mon Khmer Studies, 20–163–182. Nguyen Thanh Hoa. Vietnamese. In P. T. Daniels, and Amp. W. Bright, The World's Writing Systems. New York, Oxford University Press. ISBN 0-19-507993-0. Nguyen Thanh Hoa. Vietnamese, Tien Viet Cong's Un Phn. Amsterdam, John Benjamin's Publishing Company. ISBN 1-55619-7330. Pham, Andrea Hoa. Vietnamese Tone, A New Analysis. Outstanding Dissertations in Linguistics. New York, Routledge. ISBN 0-415-96762-7. Sassoon, Rosemary. The Acquisition of a Second Writing System. Intellect Books. ISBN 1871516439. Retrieved 24 April 2014. Thompson, Lawrence E. A Vietnamese Reference Grammar. Seattle, University of Washington Press. Honolulu, University of Hawaii Press. ISBN 0824811178. Welsh, Hans H. The Conversion of Scripts, Its Nature, History, and Utilization. Information Sciences Series. Wiley, ISBN 0471016209. Retrieved 24 April 2014. Language Monthly, Issues 40–57. Pretorius, 1987. Retrieved 24 April 2014.